All right, you guys. So we're going to take a look at whatever we have today. I was just mentioning that there is one, two, three, four, five, six people who said that they would have something for me today, and they're either not here or not turning in their stuff. So I'm a little bit peeved and wondering if we need to change this system for this class. I mean, there's a couple of things working against us. One, it's all remote. COVID has messed that up pretty good. And so it's harder to communicate misgivings and confusion. And another is that a lot of people weren't prepared for the extremely self directed nature of this class. And this didn't exactly help this project schedule. So there's some options that we could explore. Give it a think first. We'll look at the work that we have, and then we can discuss it, and we'll leave it on the recording so that other people who aren't here can catch up. But I might do like a class vote, or I might just dictate that it's going to be different because this is not exactly working. We do have a huge amount of people saying they've got something due next week. I really don't believe it. I don't think that all these people are going to turn in something next week, like not even close. So I'm wondering if we should do something about that now or not. All right, so let's look at what we do have today. Jamie's we already looked at, but she keeps linking new things, so maybe we should look at it again to see if there are additional changes. I don't think there are additional changes. I think this is what we looked at on Monday. Let me just real quick look in the actual folder just to verify that. Yeah, this is the same. The first one and the second one, the modified and the unmodified. So I think we're good there. So let's take a look at Austin's game. He said that there was scaling issues with the UI. We'll see. Oh, okay. I thought it was filling edge to edge, but it's actually this big. Okay. So that UI is supposed to be probably closer to the corners of the screen, I would guess. Let's see. Bam, take that. Bam, take that. Bam, take that. Whoa. There's a lot more boys than I thought behind me. Boom. Gotcha. So Austin, now that you're here, we were actually discussing it last time we played. Is there a way to kill the spawners? Or the spawners just there to show you where things spawn? Oh, I almost fell off. Because that was a question that Salvo had, and I thought it was a good question. Round complete. So grab all the coins. Yummy, 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 yummy. Oh, I do have a run key. I didn't even try that. And then we shop. Wait, oh, health thing. Sure. Give me a health thing. And then I bop this guy and I steal his wares. No. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, so Salvo was wondering like if we could jump up and whack that thing or something. I'm pretty sure no, but interesting idea. Let's see, the spawners are there for debug purposes. When I made them, I had issues spawning the proper amount. So there showed me where having spawner issues. I don't know how having a block there helps. But okay. If it helps you, it's fine. You can just turn the renderer off for something. Like you can even have a physical object in Unity complete with Collider if you want to. But really, I think it's fine to have the blocks floating there. It gives me an indication, hey, maybe stay out of that corner. You're going to get mobbed by zombies if you hang out over there. Color coding which one? Okay, sure. Boom. Take that. My one big note from the last time I played it is that this hammer swing is glacially slow, and it frustrates me to swing this hammer, whereas that should be the fun of the game. It should be kind of the fun of a pinata, you know? You whack the pinata, coins fly out, everybody yells hooray. But it's so slow that it makes me kind of anxious to do it. So if I do click, hit, it's like a whole second or almost a whole second. Click, hit, click, hit, reset, click, hit, and the reset is like a whole second too. You really got to speed those animations up. The reset is like so slow. Um, there are other possibilities for game mechanics. I don't know what your goal was with the project. Um, it's obviously working. You were talking about some bugs and things. I'm going to go ahead and just let it hang here. Is your goal just to make something that works, or was your goal to make a fun experience? A fun experience. Okay, then definitely speed up that hammer swing because right now it's not fun. Let me suggest this for an alternative. Uh, Let the player click the button as fast as they want to, but make the hammer swing slower and slower the faster you click. So that would be sort of like a fatigue thing, where the first couple of times you swing, you can swing real fast and punchy. Swing, 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 right? But it keeps adding a delay onto the subsequent swing every time you do that. So if you just mash the button, click, 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 click like crazy, then your guy's going to get exhausted and default back to probably as slow as this is now. This would be like the tired state in my mind. But if you pace yourself, then you can get relatively quick swings and then hold on, wait for a group to come toward you, and then bash, bash, bash really quick and smash through them. That would probably be a lot more fun. Um, what I would also suggest for animation purposes for that, and I can just kind of mime it with the camera, is that you have a right swing and a back swing, so swing, swing, so that if the person triggers the hit animation while this one is still playing, that it just does the other direction and vice versa. So it goes left, right, left, right, left, right, rather than having to reset to the right shoulder every single time. Does that make sense? Okay. And if we're looking for a fun experience, I'm looking for ways to make gameplay interesting. Are you programming primarily or game design primarily? Programming. Okay. Then it kind of makes sense to not be thinking along these lines, but I guess I'll say it anyway. The thing that makes a game experience fun is interesting decisions. So, by interesting decision, I mean that the decision has to have an impact, and the decision has to feel important enough to make, and it has to feel like a decision exists that you can make. So, in the case of this hammer, this is enough really to give us a few options. Like if I hold down the click button to charge up one big swing to knock down those many, many guys, that would be a decision that I could make versus clicking rapidly. But then mechanically, the difference between those things has to be significant. So, for instance, if I'm rapid clicking on a group, maybe the first zombie that it hits is the only one it takes out and it doesn't take out multiples. But if I click and hold and then go towards them, then any zombies that strike hits knocks down, but it automatically sets your exhaustion to the maximum amount. So you can only click and hold, knock them down, and then it takes a long time for your mallet to reset after that big swing. But you take out a group all at once, versus rapid clicking, which resets quickly, but takes down zombies one at a time. Boom, 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 boom. That's at least a style difference in how you would approach playing. That kind of makes sense to you? I would say, I've got other ideas, but you don't really need them at the moment. Start there because as far as logic goes, like programming that logic, I think that's a significant hurdle that you could get. Exhaustion, the difference between quick and slow striking, making it feel more satisfying to the player. All of that stuff taken together is probably about a week's worth of programming and testing and debugging and stuff, I would imagine. Does that sound reasonable? I just fell off the world. Maybe put a collider around the world. I don't know. Unless you want us to be able to fall off. Okay, cool. So that's what I would suggest for now. And I think that will immediately go towards making this feel like a more fun experience initially. If you find that you need more inspiration about how to make a zombie brawling game fun, I would look at Left 4 Dead, because they had a couple really clever things like right clicking to shove and also being able to sort of block yourself with your weapon. Both of those things were very clever uses of nothing but a melee weapon, where you could sort of reduce the incoming damage while attracting attention, or you could shove them away without actually killing them. Those were really clever uses of just a melee weapon. And you could have different melee weapons, faster, slicier, more bludgeoning and pushing, but less damage, that sort of stuff, if you really wanted to extend it. I'm back. Okay. Any questions or comments, Austin? Actually, we're on that, but ran out of time. Cool. Okay, so I think that makes sense. You've got another milestone due next week. Do you want to leave it that way? You think that this stuff will be ready to show by then? What do you think? I don't remember putting one for next week. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Well, now you don't have one for next week. So we're talking about a 2-week turnaround. And that seems probably about right. If you ever need help with the animation, visual side of things, that's my specialty. So just drop a note in the chat or something like that. But that's where I shine. You didn't put the other one? That's you, right? Because that's where I got the link. Just waiting for Austin here. I had them set for 4 weeks apart. Because I don't get a lot of time to work. Okay. That's a lot, though. I might have, on our last meeting, put in one, because 4 weeks is a ton of time. Like, that's so long. Uh, can we deal with 2 for now? Okay. All right, let's see how it goes in 2 weeks, because I think you've made good progress so far. And what I'm describing, like, even as an amateur programmer that I am, I think I could puzzle it out in like a day or two, and then polishing it and making it nice would be the actual challenge. So I think you can handle it. All right. Anyone else in the call who has stuff that we are looking at? Because I don't think so. I'm looking, Dahlia's not here. Paul is not here. Jesse is... No, wait, no. So Mark is here. But Mark didn't have anything to do today. I see you lighting up green, Mark, but I don't actually hear anything. There you are.
Yeah, there you go. I had myself muted directly from the mic.
Hello.
I was gonna say if you already checked out my thing on your own time, or
Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry. Let's take a look at now. So what was the goal for this project while I just browsed through it?
for this project, by the way, sorry that they're all small. It's like this is all pixel art, so I don't know comes out all that big. A lot of just designing of things. Just yeah, a lot of art type stuff. I don't know what I'd call it. Would it be concept art?
I suppose so. Are you intending to make a game project with it, or are you just
Mm,
exploring art style and
I
stuff?
considered it at a point to like make this a milestone and then actually go into like programming it and all, but I think I'm just gonna this is gonna be pretty much it for it. I don't really want to pursue it.
Is
Not
it
much beyond this.
because it wasn't going well, or because the idea of making a game project is too intimidating?
Oh, I like the idea of it, but I think yeah, it feels sort of intimidating, especially like I decided to go with pixel art for this one, and
Well, what I'll
I might
say
have
is that
overestimated myself. I may have.
a platformer is one of the most common early tutorials to follow. And so if platformer mechanics, basic platformer mechanics are what you're after, there's no shortage of good tutorials for that, including things that you can find directly on on the Unity Learn page.
Oh,
So
for sure.
if that helps at all and encourages you to want to pursue it for one more week, then I'd say that's good. But you definitely don't have to. I just want to make sure that you have clear goals.
Yeah, yeah, sure. And specifically, like I did have like goals set up that I was sort of excited for, but then I just sort of lost them. Like because I had actually gotten like a tutorial to make a because I my initial planning for this game I kind of want to make like a Metroidvania type of thing,
Right.
and I have a tutorial for it set up. It's just that
Yeah.
as I kept working more on it, I realized wow I should have stuck to a medium that I was more used to rather than pixel art because
Oh, you're not used to pixel art?
no, this is my first time I ever did mess with it, which was a bit of a
Oh.
weird choice on my end, but.
Okay. Well, if you wanted some experience in pixel art, I can kind of get that. There are better ways to explore that, though. Like, for instance, getting a project that is ready built, that has pixel aspect or has assets already or pixel assets already, and then changing how they look would probably be what I would have recommended then.
For sure.
Because that way you're dealing with the structures already there, everything already works. So you just have to pick through the files and change them all out one by one, and then you've got a ready complete thing. You know.
Right.
So what are you more interested in doing then?
Uh, personally, like I like doing art. It's what want to sort of pursue, but I'm
Hmm.
also interested in doing coding and whatnot. So I might actually do I might do what you said, where I'll like probably get pre-made assets and adjust them a bit and put them into an actual game because I'm actually really interested in the coding aspect too, and
Okay.
actually making it.
Um, I would recommend following like a tutorial, like a project tutorial that shows you how to make the mechanics. That way you learn a lot about the coding side, but it's not on you to figure anything out. And then you take whatever art assets they recommended and just swap them out for your own. That way you get the best of both worlds without struggling too much.
For sure.
That's it. That kind of makes sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Let's look at the Unity Learn site and just see what they've got available because it shouldn't be too hard to find something
Oh,
like that.
oh yeah, like they have one for like an RPG and then platformer one. They have a first-person shooter one. It took a look at a couple.
Okay. Well, the nearest one to what you're looking at would be a platformer then. So you're saying they already had a ready-made one for that?
I actually like in anticipation for the class, I did the RPG one and then do the platformer one just so I could get a handle on it. The tutorial I was interested in doing for this project is one that I actually personally got that was made by somebody on another website. I It
Mm-hmm.
was for a Metroidvania type of game where it was
So
like something like 100 hours or something where the video stuff they
yeah,
did.
the only reason I wouldn't recommend that is because of exactly the last part that you said is 100 hours deep to get results. Metroidvania is a genre of platformer. So
Yeah.
platformer is the super genre, right? Where most of the mechanics come from there. Metroidvania is more about level design than about mechanics. The thing that makes a Metroidvania game is that you cannot traverse to a location because you don't have an ability. You get that ability, backtrack to a previous location, and then traverse to a new branch of that location because you have that ability. A great example would be a hook shot or a jetpack or a double jump, right? So that means that there's a huge emphasis on good level design and good space design. Is that what you're into?
Um, um,
Because it wasn't on your list.
yeah, it wasn't on my list. It's yeah,
So
it's
instead, make a platformer. Because there's absolutely no requirements of that sort on a platformer. You just get the ability to jump and move, and you've done it. You know, and then you can see
yeah,
your
that's
art
true.
assets behave the way that you want them to behave. But Metroidvania is a particularly challenging kind of platformer design. So much so that they're not very popular games because they're so difficult to make right. Okay? So they do have a bunch of them here. Mostly this platformer micro game kind of group with all of these similar assets. If you want to just pick and choose some of the tutorials from that Metroidvania thing, like set, I'm going to go 3 videos in and then stop there, and that's my goal, or then I'm going to decide if I want to go 3 or 4 more. Beyond that, that's fine. But I would strongly recommend a simpler game type.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. Let me know what you think, because there's a lot of resources for platformers. Like, I could go onto YouTube right now and probably just find 10 of them off the top of my head. Also, in our class folder in the link sharing, I did link to one guy in particular who's really really useful. The cat light coding guy. This one. Uh, this guy makes excellent tutorials, and they're really really useful. It's a little hard to navigate his site because it's a little bit old fashioned, but if you find the right, so like this movement section I think would be for 3D platforming. How to create platforming mechanics that work on a sphere, that work on arbitrary gravitational bodies, that work on wall climbing, that sort of stuff. Really advanced stuff, but just doing the first or second one gives a ground up look at just movement mechanics in general, such that you could make any kind of physics based game, third person, first person, whatever. So you could make like Mirror's Edge, for instance. The one I followed is this one, which is like Civilization, and he breaks this down into creating data to contain information for hexagon grids, and then building those meshes at runtime and rebuilding them based on terrain editing, and getting everything to work in the context of like a civilization or tactics game. I think I only went about as far as rivers, but it's very, very nerdy and intense and takes a long time. And to follow this, even up to that point, I would say would take a month. So just be careful about what you choose. Look forward in the tutorials that you go through. See how long it's going to take, how complicated it's going to be, and make your decision like that.
Yeah, I get that.
Cool.
Sure.
All right. Oh, I opened it again, even though it's right here. Let's
Oh,
see.
I was gonna say real quick.
Yeah.
For my schedule, I was thinking of probably pushing it up like forward a week. Like,
Where are you? I'm
uh,
struggling to see.
for my thing, I'm probably gonna change it to like the next project I'll probably put for the
There you
week of the 22nd instead of the 15th, and
are.
so
Okay.
on and so forth. Because I think like when I made this schedule that day, I was sort of
Yeah.
I've never done game design before, so I think it might have
Because we're done with this week
yeah.
now. We just blacked
Hmm.
that one out. So yeah, that makes sense. You don't want something due next week when you're just deciding. So we'll slide that back to
Yeah,
there.
exactly. I'm barely deciding what I want to do next.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
which by the way, with concept art, it could turn in like character designs and environmental stuff, and that'd be the project, right? As a clarification.
Yes, but
Okay.
I want you to have a strong idea of what the goal of the project is.
Yeah, what the actual game is gonna be. Sure.
Well,
Okay.
not what the actual game
Oh.
is going to be, the actual thing you want to accomplish.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Okay.
So it's all well and good for you to make art for a game, but what are you intending to do? What are you trying to learn? So if what your goal was is I want to make a full set of assets for a game, then I want you to have a list of what those assets are. I need this many backgrounds, this many enemy types and actions. I need this many props and items, right? If your goal is try out an art style in conjunction with like a game engine, then having a ready-made project that already works where you just swap out some of the assets makes sense. And the only way that we judge this is based on what were you trying to do, right? We don't judge it objectively to say like, oh well, it's pretty, so I'll give you an A. That's kind of bullshit, because you could be a beginner, you could be advanced. I don't really have any frame of reference for most of you. So what I'm judging it against is what were you trying to do, and then how well did you do it, and then when you reflect on it, how well do you say you did it, and what did you learn anyway? So it could so happen that you try to do something really big, attempt it, fall flat on your face, say that, and say that you learned a whole lot about self management. That's an A, right? You don't have to necessarily succeed. I want to make sure that you're learning and that you're pushing yourself and you're practicing. That's what's important.
All
Okay?
right. Yeah, I get
Cool.
that. Thank you.
So have a strong goal in mind. That's all. All right. So, Miguel, do you have anything for us?
No, sorry, I haven't even started work on my sculpt.
Okay. So no progress yet. We will skip you. We've got Jimmy's in here. Now, Jimmy, you don't have anything due this week, but just thought I'd check in with you.
Nothing yet. I'm still going through the tutorial for the skeleton animations.
Okay. And is that going all right?
Yes, it's going all right.
Okay. If you ever need help with that stuff, let me know. That's one of my specialties, and I'm going to be teaching that in my animation rigging class as well. So, in a couple short weeks, I'll even have videos up on YouTube that are relevant to that.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Then Juan, I don't think you have anything due this week, but how's it going with you? Make sure you're on track. Where's Juan? There he is. Yeah. Doesn't have anything due this week. That's okay. I don't know why it changed this one to not look like there's anything in there. I'm going to change that. There it is. Deciding to do a few sci-fi props. Cool. You putting together a reference folder for that? Getting some inspiration. Hopefully. Cool. Okay. So make sure you have a finite number of things that you want to make and like a cohesive art style so that it all fits together properly. I think you know how that's done already, but just to make sure that it goes the best that it can. All right, let me ask you guys in general then. Would you prefer, in general, if I just said to everyone, something is due every 2 weeks, you decide what, and then we look at everyone's work all together? Or do you want to keep this more free form format?
For the interest of the class, it's probably better to do the 2 weeks thing, and there's still a little bit of that flexibility to decide what your milestones are at those 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll probably get better returns if then people just start breaking up their projects into smaller chunks.
Maybe. And we could do that at this point fairly perfectly in 2 week chunks. Austin says he likes the freedom. Yeah, I understand that. And Jimmy says he likes the freedom. And you guys are actually people who have been turning things in, the people who are here. The ones who have not are basically silent because they don't show up to the meetings or send me messages enough. So I don't really know what they're thinking, unfortunately. So I suppose it makes sense to leave it the way that you guys want because you're the only ones I'm really hearing from anyway. Anyone else want to chime in? So that's one thing I'm considering. Another thing that we could consider is that I come up with a project for everyone and you are responsible for doing some small part of it. So that would take a greater effort of coordination. Probably not feasible given that we're doing this all remotely, but it would be something like I come up with we're making a platformer game in which we could reverse the gravity. I need some programmers to do this, this, and this. I need some artists to do this, this, and this. I need a level designer or game designer or two to do this, this, and that. And we break it all apart, and then everyone shows their work, and we assemble it together as a class. That's an option. It's not one that I'm particularly excited about doing in this remote setting, but what do you guys think about that? You might have to hold the button.
So sorry. No. I saw him start to speak too. So, it sounds really interesting. It sounds like be really neat to do. Like, cause it'll also like help us like have a little experience with like working with other people and sort of
Yeah.
in the fact of game design, but also it could be a bit difficult to manage because
Right.
of circumstances.
Yeah, I think if we were in person, I would probably be leaning towards that, where the more senior students could take the more junior ones under their wing and show them how to do things and assign to them more junior tasks. But since we're doing this remotely and I don't have the benefit of setting mandatory class times, it's probably not feasible this time. But yeah, that's something that I would definitely entertain. And Austin's kind of saying the same thing. Like, yeah, cool but difficult. Yeah, it would be pretty difficult at this point. Okay.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep the format as it is right now, and I will just keep in private harassing the people who I'm not seeing any work from. I think some of them have actually disappeared, as in dropped the class, and I could just remove them from this list. Just glancing at the names that I have, at least 3 or 4 of those people are actually gone. Like I do know, I believe that Ilario is gone, so I could remove him. But some of them are not, and so I need to figure out what's going on with them. All right, you guys. Do you have any requests for things that I can talk about, demonstrate, or make clearer for you guys while we are here?
How about building like an online kind of presence?
Building an online presence? What do you mean?
So like I don't have a what's the word? I can't remember the name of the site. It's like a
Twitter?
professional networking site.
Oh, LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, there we go.
LinkedIn, okay. And
So like when you, I assume you have one.
yeah.
So what goes into, what do you think goes into a good like LinkedIn profile?
I'm not great at it, to be honest, but I did teach the portfolio development course for many years, and we sort of focused on providing all the boilerplate stuff that you need to do, and then cultivating a friendship with the people that you work with, work under, and work over. Those people aren't going to look at LinkedIn for the purposes of convincing themselves to hire you or recommend you. They're only going to look at it for what's the latest thing you've done. So in that way, it becomes a little bit like Facebook. But the person to person connections that you make with people, like in this class, for instance, or in others at Norco, with your instructors, even with people who leave school and go on to do who knows what, those are the really important things to maintain. The rest of it is just kind of being present and having your stuff out there somewhere so that people can look you up if they really want to. So, like, if I go to my own, it's just got a running list of the stuff I've done. I do have an old demo reel on there I should probably update. Nobody's going to read this because they already know me. They might take a look at what I'm currently doing, as in the current job titles that I hold. But then basically down here in experience, that's what they're really going to look at. And the one that surprised most of my network recently is the lead artist at Arkenforge that I did last year. A lot of people were, hey, look at that, cool, and sending me messages about that. That's kind of the updating, the professional updating that's going to be helpful. The thing that's really going to help me in the long run, though, is continuing to have a relationship with like these guys that I worked with at Mount San Antonio College, and not just never talking to them ever again, right? So just last week, Sunil, who was my supervisor there, asked me for a recommendation for an instructor to teach something. And so then I looked at the people that I knew, and it turned out to be someone who was a former student of mine and then had also worked with me at one of the production studios that I worked at. And so I recommended him, and it sounded like he got the job, and hooray. So now both of those guys know me. And if there's some other opportunity that comes up for them, I'm going to be more in the forefront of their mind, and round it goes. Once you start having friends that are employed in the field that you want, once you start getting employed in the field that you want, those recommendations that go back and forth are the most important thing, because they know exactly what you're capable of, you know what they're capable of, and as long as you respect each other, then all the opportunities get passed back and forth. Make sense?
Yeah, sounds solid.
So it behooves you to be responsible and capable whenever you're able to be, and be nice, right? Both of those things. But then also to sort of keep track of people, especially people that you think are valuable. So if you check in with other people's progress, see how they're doing, they appreciate that, they like that attention, they're more likely to check in with your progress and see how you're doing. Honestly, I use ArtStation as much of a networking platform as LinkedIn. In fact, I hardly ever use LinkedIn, to be honest. I use ArtStation a hell of a lot more because on here I have lots of former students. So if I go into my connections, this is just everyone I'm following, but not everyone is a stranger. Some of them are friends or colleagues or students. So let's see if I can find one. So here's Yang. He's one of my students. He's currently in animation and rigging. He doesn't have anything on here yet, but I am following him for when he does. I'm forgetting. This could have been one of my friends when I went to college, but now I'm forgetting. James Dalby I worked with at Norco. He stopped working at Norco a while back, but we keep track of each other every now and then, and I hear his name pop up in the circles that I run in, and so I'm aware of him. Let's see who else we've got. Keep going down. That's someone I admire. There's a former student right there. And so every now and then, like whenever they post something new, go and comment on it, give it a thumbs up, that stuff. When I do it, I get thumbs up from them. This is he runs the Control Paint site, Matt Core, and I think he's freaking amazing. So if I look in, I don't know what was my latest thing I posted up. I've been recently posting things because I'm updating my portfolio. So I posted up this stuff just recently, and a former student that I'd even forgotten was on here was like voting everything up, and then I went and looked at his stuff. Here's Robert. He's there. Here's Nathan. I think it was on the other one.
Hey, I know those guys.
Yeah. And so they give some comments and like a thumbs up, and it's just sort of a reminder that, hey, I exist, and I'm watching what you do. Jefferson, here he is. So I forgot that Jefferson had an account up here, and I looked at what he was doing, and I was blown away. Like, this stuff is incredible. So gave him a few likes and comments and stuff, told him what a great job he's doing. Who knows? Then maybe there's some opportunity that comes up for him, maybe not. Doesn't really matter. I'm not doing this just to get, a leg up. I'm also doing it because I'm curious and because I'm proud of him. So he's doing all these really cool, complicated substance balls. I thought this one was hilarious. So really good stuff. I love seeing it. And my friends do that on Facebook, or they do it on Instagram, and it's just good to kind of keep track of everybody. One says, for portfolio work, is Sketchfab better than ArtStation for beginners? Sketchfab is not a replacement for ArtStation, it's in addition to. Sketchfab is just for sharing 3D interactive turnarounds. Oftentimes people will post stuff on Sketchfab, then put it in a part of a project on ArtStation. So ArtStation is more about the portfolio in total, and Sketchfab is more about just 3D. But that's a good point. Like, Sketchfab is another place where I've got students and student work that I keep track of. So if I go to collections, I think. Yeah, so here is the student work that I've found and added to this folder. And a lot of it was just like a one-time class thing. I don't know what became of a lot of these guys, but occasionally someone's a little bit more active, and so they keep posting more stuff. So there we go. And also, for one of our classes, we had a big collaborative project in which I added everyone who had an existing profile to this project, which they all worked on, which I was very proud of them for doing. So an online presence kind of just is the way that you curate how you talk to people, how you keep track of them, how much do you comment on their stuff, how much do you post? Do you post regularly? Do you post things that anyone's going to give a crap about and like want to view or comment on? There's lots of different appropriate approaches to that, and there's lots of obnoxious stuff too. Like if I open Facebook, and I don't want to do that because too many people's full names and photos of them are up there. I would find some obnoxious political crap if I went on Facebook, right? That's not good. You're making people hate you. Don't make people hate you. Make them love you, right? Make them happy to hear from you when you post something up, and also take an interest in them. That's the best thing that you can do to make people care about what you're doing, is how much of an interest are you taking in what they're doing. Does that suffice as a kind of answer to your general question?
Yeah, that all seems usable.
Okay. Do you have anything more specific that you wanted to know about? Like how to build an audience or something?
How about an email like provider, professional email setup?
Any of the big ones. It, you don't really need to do anything except for not pick something obnoxious or embarrassing. Like
Okay,
this handle here, I just use as my sign up for anything, but I very quickly just put my name on it because my name is unique enough. And so for the email, I just choose first and last name. If it's not possible for you to do for some reason, then choose your first name and 3D modeling, or your first name and programming, or your first and last name and programming, or some permutation of that. Something that makes sense, is easy enough to spell, and is not going to have people scratching their head and wondering what the hell is going on. That's the ideal.
okay. So there's not like a client, like an email client that kind
No.
of signals professional.
No, no. In fact, what's funny about that is if you have like a Gmail, as opposed to like Hotmail or AOL or whatever, that's fine, but it doesn't mean anything. What I find is funny is the more archaic the email is, the more likely I'm talking to someone who's worked for a long time and has a ton of connection is actually more important. So the oldest artists and production workers that I've ever dealt with have like AOL emails or like Yahoo or like Alta Vista or Lycos or some shit like that. They've got the weirdest stuff that they've just been sitting on for like 20 years. And the only pattern I can see is that those guys have been around forever. And that's why they have those emails.
That's funny. I get judged for my Hotmail email a lot.
Yeah, I got a Hotmail one. It's just, I don't want to change it. I did actually register the Gmail version of my email, but I just don't use it. And so it's ready there to use if I want to. You can set up like email forwarding and then, move over to the newer one if you want to. But it's fine. Just use the one that works for you. There's no like standard. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. All right. Do you guys have any other questions or things that you'd like me to talk about while we have some time here? Publish and animate texture project to Sketchfab. I wrote that. I didn't do anything about it yet. I will do something about that. Not today. Is that it then? We're all done? Sounds like we're all done. All right, you
Yeah,
guys.
I think that's everything I got.
Then I will talk to you on Monday. If you guys have any trouble, let me know. Make sure that you check out the project schedule, double check, make sure that you know what you have due or what you do not have due, so that we can have everything running smoothly next week. And for now, we'll just keep the same format. Alrighty?
Cool. Thank you.
All
Alrighty,
right, you
thank you.
guys. See you later.